So race morning is pretty seamless at these events. I get everything set up about 1 hour before the start. I usually go for a little jog and I'll just put in some good music. I think I was listening to Taylor Swift yesterday morning, and so it kind of got me just chill, and I try to look around and really appreciate watching the sunrise, where I am, and just that I'm healthy and fit enough to be on this start line. And so when the nerves come, I'm just like, no, this is an opportunity, and you just got to do what you have to make the most of it. And so that kind of helps me get some of those nerves out. They do a really good job at the Clash events of doing introductions and making sure that the spectators know who we are, and we get to wave to the crowd, and they really make us feel special. And so I just try to enjoy that moment, because it's an honor. It's an honor to have your name called as you run to the line and get ready to race.
I was pretty happy with my swim start. It wasn't, the worst ever. I knew that I was probably going to get gapped by Sarah Perez-Sala and Pamela Oliveira, and I was. And I think I was behind Grace Alexander for a little while, but the long course athlete in me kicked in, and I kind of worked my way up throughout the first lap. I was hopeful that maybe I could make up some ground in the second lap. In Daytona, we had a similar course where it was 2 laps, and I was able to make up some ground on the second lap. And so I was kind of trying to build into that second lap and just remind myself that I have the endurance to keep going all day. I was happy. I think I came out of the water 45 seconds down from Sarah, and that's about normal for me in the other races I've raced with her. And so I was like, okay, you're in it. It would have been nice to have that gap be a little smaller, but I felt like I was still in it. It wasn't my best swim ever, but it wasn't the worst. And I've been doing this sport long enough to know that, you can have a swim that isn't your best and still have a really, really good day. And so that was kind of my thought process was okay, swim is done. Let's get on the bike. So at the start of the bike, I was going pretty hard. I mean, my power was high, it was definitely higher than I would normally start a 70.3, but it is a little bit shorter than a 70.3. We're going just under 40 miles or a little over 17 laps of the course. And so getting going, I just wanted to settle in and take those first turns smartly. And I could see the group ahead of me, and I was like, okay, maybe I can bridge up there, but I was, at the max that I should be going. And so I didn't really necessarily chase. I was just like, okay, let's see if they come back to you. You have a kind of a headwind, tailwind situation with the track. And it's really easy to go too hard into the headwind. And you just want to control your effort. And that's where having a power meter does help a lot. But I felt good on the bike. And like I said, I had been nervous about my bike handling skills and just being out on the road after not having ridden outside in so long and carrying that power through the turns and staying aero through those turns. And I think I overperformed my expectations on that. I knew I was losing time to Sif and Lucy at the front, but I also know they're incredible time trial cyclists, and I wasn't down about that. I felt like I was doing really well for myself, and it was kind of exciting to pass Pamela because she's also an incredibly strong cyclist. And so I was like, okay, you're in it. And one of the things that really kept me going that was a little surprising was just seeing the other women out there. And if I ever had a down moment where I wasn't feeling well, I'm like, you're not alone in this. We're all out here in the heat, in the wind, going as hard as we can, and you're not alone. I think sometimes when you're on a bigger course, you can get a little bit lonely because you can get into a situation where you don't see anyone else. And here you are going to see other people. And that was really cool. And Ella Natitian, who is our Ironwomen Podcast producer, she works for Feisty Media. She was doing this race as her second ever long course pro race. And I got to see her out there, which was really cool. And just some of these women that I admire so much, and getting to see them was very, very cool. I did come off the bike in fourth place, feeling pretty good. I didn't realize Pamela was right behind me. It's with these courses, it's not like you really look behind you because you don't want to get out of that aero position. But my dismount was actually much better than Daytona. I was proud of that. And my transition, my T2 was much better. So I did learn some things, and I felt like I got out on the run just in front of Pamela, I think. But that lead disappeared very quickly once we started the run. So out on the run, I think Pamela passed me within the first like quarter mile, and she was running very fast. Like I think sub 6 minute pace. And my plan going into this was to be pretty conservative the first 3 laps. It's a 7 lap course to get to just over 10 miles, I think. And so I knew it would be hot, and I knew that I don't necessarily have the fitness to run my best ever 10 miler right now. So I tried to kind of manage my effort those first 3 laps, and I did just let her go. It was one of those things where I was like, I can't do that right now, and wish I could, but just kind of let her go, and maybe she'd come back to me, but you never know. I had a little bit of a breakdown when I got to where I thought the first aid station would be, and there was no aid station because I had kind of gone through this like with my plan of grabbing a lot of water, where there's supposed to be an aid station every half mile, which is what I needed in temperature like this. And I think maybe if I had known a little better, I might have started the run with a bottle, just so that I could have gotten that kind of cooling off effect immediately coming off the bike. But they did eventually get that aid station set up. So it was just that first lap, and I was like, oh no, is there not going to be an aid station here? But I'm like, you can handle this, you'll handle it, it's fine. And then, I felt pretty hot. It was definitely hot and warm out there, but I tried to tell myself that sometimes that first lap, the first miles, they always feel bad. They almost always feel bad coming off the bike. And it was hopefully going to get better. And I think it did. 7 laps felt like a lot, but again, there's a lot of people on the course. There's a lot of spectators. A couple, like I mentioned, a few of my athletes who are racing the sprint race on Saturday came out to cheer on Friday, so I could hear them cheering, and you get to go by them several times, which is really, really cool. And I love that part. The back stretch, or the home stretch, I use my race car terminology, but was really neat because you could hear the announcers, you could kind of get a feeling for what was happening in the race, even the parts that you couldn't see, who was leading. Again, they have a leaderboard out there, and so you kind of can judge how far behind you are the leaders. And I think early on I was making up some time, and so I was like, okay, just, 1 lap at a time, 1 mile at a time, just manage your core temperature, take in some nutrition, get the calories in, get the fluids in. And I was doing pretty good. I got this system where I could get 2 bottles at the aid station and pour them on myself. I kind of surprised some volunteers where I'm like, I want both. But I felt really good when I could get through an aid station, cool myself off, and then get going again. And I think with maybe 2.5 laps to go or 3 laps to go, Sarah Perez-Sala was in my sights, and that was a surprise. I've actually never been that close to her in a race ever. And I was like, I got a little excited, and I think I made some rookie errors, and I put in a lot of effort closing that gap too quick. And in hindsight, that was not a good idea. I should have sat behind her a little bit longer and, really kind of focused on my nutrition, got myself really ready, and made a more decisive pass instead of just going for it. But I was just too excited, and yeah, it didn't work. She was able to go right with me, which was actually kind of fun. I knew she was right there. I know she's an incredible athlete, and I was like, oh no. And I those last 2 laps, I was trying to put in some little surges. I don't know if Sarah noticed. It might have been imaginary surge, in my head, I was surging. But I was trying to see if I could open up a little bit of a gap, and I couldn't. She was right there. She covered every move, which was pretty close, or pretty cool. And I will say, I have dreams all the time about having sprint finishes about races. And in my dreams, I always win, always. And that was not the case yesterday at all. We came through, and I didn't even stop at the last aid station. I probably should have, because I think if I had cooled myself off, maybe I would have had a little more fight in me. But I just had nothing left. I think I could hear Kevin McKinnon announcing that I had closed 3 minutes on her during the run, and I just could not cover the last 200 meters. She came around me, and I had nothing. I wish I had. I wanted to do more, but that was it was everything I had just to finish the race and watch her run away from me. So it was a lesson in tactical racing. I mean, she has a little bit more of a short course background, and so it makes sense that she was definitely a lot more ready for that than I was. But it was racing. It was fun. It was hopefully entertaining for some people. I wish I could have made it more entertaining and like an actual sprint finish rather than Sarah just sprinting away from me. But I'm happy I was in that position, where there was a close finish. I think I have to be grateful for that. And maybe next time I'll have it in me to fight a little bit more. But to get 5th in March in a hot race on a technical bike course, I have to be pretty happy with that. Like, I knew going into this race, it did not suit my strengths, but I really wanted to be here anyway. And it was, it was good. Do I wish I would have won that sprint? Sure. Yes, of course. But, having a sprint with Sarah Perez Sala is quite an honor. And I'm really impressed with, the podium. You had Lucy Byram, 23 years old, from Great Britain, winning. Sif Madsen, who I think is 21, from Denmark, 2nd. I mean, these are young women. Pamela in 3rd. And Pamela is a veteran. She's been around. She's raced Ironman, and to see her having that kind of speed and that kind of success is really exciting. I mean, the level of racing was hot, just as hot as Miami, and I'm a fan of the sport. I'm a fan of these women, and I hope, I made it a little bit harder for them, and kept the race a little bit interesting and hopefully, impacted the race a little bit. And so I am proud of my 5th place finish, and it's a good way to start the season. Tomorrow, I'm actually headed to Chile for Challenge Puerto Varas. I think it's 8 days away now, a half Ironman distance race in the southern part of Chile. And I raced this race last year. I'm actually the defending champion. I think the field is going to be really tough this year. It's going to be a different kind of race, but I am excited about it. I'm excited to go back to Puerto Varas. I think this course really suits me. It's a colder environment and a little hillier, and it'll be fun to see how I come out of Miami and how that works. I've actually never really done this, 2 races back to back like this, so kind of a new experience, even though I've been a pro for a long time, and just seeing how it feels. That's really what I want to experience right now, this part of the year, and just kind of race my way into fitness. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully smooth travels and a great time in South America. And content-wise, let me know if there's anything that you do want to see. I am trying to, keep these videos going, because I think this is our 2nd episode. So we'll try to show you what you want. So if there's anything that you do want to see, leave a comment and let me know, and I'll do what I can to make it happen. But thank you again for watching, and thanks for the cheers near and far.